Hi guys, welcome to my coffee show. My name is Jack and today we are playing with Orea. Today we're going to compare white Orea V4 with regular narrow Orea V3. What I'm planning to do, first we're going to talk about similarities and differences between those two brewers. Then we're going to brew some coffee as we normally do. By the end I will try to answer two questions. Should you upgrade from V3 to V4? And if you already decided to go for that V4, which one is better for you, white or narrow version? Exciting video. If you're as excited as myself, definitely click like, sit tight and enjoy. If you're regular to this channel, you know I'm a big fan of Orea. I hate to admit that, but I like the products. I don't like the company that much, and the reason is I sent them so many messages, so many emails, they haven't responded to a single one. All I wanted from them is, you know, I'm based in London, their HQ is in London. I thought maybe we could, I don't know, meet, record something. I wouldn't mind if they just reply, you know, saying, Jack, we would prefer to be associated, I don't know, with General Gaddafi than yourself. But if you ignore all my messages, well, I hate that. Anyway, I love the products, most of them at least. It all started for me with this Orea V3, the clear Orea V3, which I think still looks the best out of all the Oreas. Then at some point I get this, so that's the Orea V3 MK2. Just a quick side note here, probably some of you would ask me what's the difference between the clear Orea V3 and the Orea V3 MK2. From the outside they look very similar, but when you look at them from the inside you can notice the difference at the bottom of the brewer. You have those plastic teeth added to the MK2. They make the air flow slightly differently to the brewer and it speeds up the brewing process. But when you dial them into the same brewing time, I haven't done that many brews, but I couldn't really point which is which. But the newest, the bestest of Orea, according to Orea, is this. So that's the Orea V4. This modular brewer, I cannot even pronounce it, comes with 4 different attachments. 3 of them are like a flat bottom attachments. One of them is a standard Orea attachment that you remember from MK2 version. One of them is just that open attachment. One of them is what they call a fast attachment. But what makes this brewer special, at least in my eyes, is that apex attachment that changes this brewer into something in between flat bottom and V60. Very interesting if you like to experiment with your pour overs. All of that costs you around £50, so it's not cheap, but what they say on the website, if you divide it by 4, you get 4 brewers for £12.50 each. I can see the logic here. The regular V3, I don't remember exactly how much I paid, maybe £25. Anyway, you pay a little bit more, so you expect a premium product, and yes, it comes in the pouch, but the box itself is kind of ugly, especially when you compare it with the previous generation. Which one would you choose just by looking at the box? Maybe this one is better for the planet, I don't know. You cannot buy V3 anymore, at least not on the Orea website that I checked. But if you decided to go for Orea V4, it's a long waiting list by the way, then you have to choose between wide or narrow version. And one of the viewers actually asked me which one I would recommend, and that's what prompted me to record this video. Myself, because I already own those 2 V3, those smaller Orea brewers, I decided to go for that wider version. The narrow version, think about it as the Orea V3 MK2, just with the multiple attachments. When you put them side by side, you may notice some differences. Orea V3, the plastic is a bit thicker. It comes with the plastic base. Orea V4 comes with the metal base. On Orea V4, the inside of the brewer is smooth, while on Orea V3 there is some texture to it, but the shape of the bottom in the Orea V3 MK2, it's exactly the same as one of the attachments in the Orea V4. So this will be the attachment that I'm going to use for this video. There is an obvious difference in a size. The angle of the walls is also slightly different. Therefore, the Orea V3 or the narrow Orea V4 will always be faster than the wide Orea V4. I tested it myself, I checked it myself with many different coffees, and with average size brew, narrow Orea is about 30 seconds faster. Because wide Orea is bigger, it can accommodate more coffee, between 12 and 36 grams, while the narrow Orea can accommodate between 12 and 28 grams. Obviously, whichever you choose, you will need some filters. You can get all sorts of filters on the Orea website. Those are the expensive, super fast filters. Most of the time I use those Kalita filters. They work nicely as well. But for that apex attachment, you can also use your V60 papers. They would fit better in that wide Orea, because with the narrow Orea, they might go too deep, they might be too long. But you can also use those flat papers for the apex attachment. but here you would need that Negotiator. I already bought the Negotiator, I have a video about that. I'm not super happy with that. I won't be repeating myself here, you can find the links in the description. So now is the most important part of this video. We will talk about the flavor notes and differences in the flavor notes. As I said at the beginning, narrow Orea is faster, about 30 seconds faster. I want to have the same brewing time for today's video, so I will have to grind a little bit finer for that. I will use my Cafec Max too. We're going to use the recipe that I stole from 2024 World's Barista Champion Martin Wolf. I've done many tests in my rehearsals. I will talk about the results later on. Today we're going to do the blind taste. So 2 cups on the rotating plate. Underneath each cup there is a number 4 for the V4 and number 3 for V3. I had a conversation with one of the viewers that said that he hates those 3M tapes. I should replace them with something that the numbers are not visible. When I taste the coffee, if the number was clearly visible, I would be able to spot it here. That's why I'm making those numbers so faint. But I'm working on another solution. If you have any tips, just leave them in the comments, please. And for the special viewers, special video, there is a special coffee. Nomad coffee roaster from Barcelona. It's supposed to be a very good roaster. This is the coffee from Rwanda, and we should taste watermelon, apricot and powdered sugar. Well, if I can get all those flavor notes, that would be a winner. Well, let's brew it. I'm so happy because I managed to dial them into the 3 minutes extraction to the 3 minutes drain time, both of them at my first attempt. So I will taste each of them at random, wash my mouth in between, and then we will see what we can taste. Okay, I've been tasting, testing. The difference was more obvious when I was doing my rehearsals. In this cup there is tiny bit more sourness. The notes are slightly more sharper, but sourness fits very nicely with the flavor notes here. It creates that juicy, deep juicy flavor. Very enjoyable cup. Now here the sourness lost its edge. It's also very present. I'm getting maybe slightly more sweetness here. Certain nuances here that are not necessarily present over there. Maybe because that sourness over there being a more dominant flavor notes, it kind of covers up the other details in the coffee. If I had to judge the watermelonness in both of those cups, here because this cup is slightly sweeter, maybe I would say this has more of that than this one. And therefore I will choose this cup. So the cup that won today is... it's number 4. It's number 4, so Orea V4. Okay, I don't want to throw away this good coffee, so let me enjoy it now and then we will come back to my final conclusions. So guys, if you are still here, definitely click like, consider subscribing to the channel, plenty more things coming. So my final conclusions here. Orea gives you a balance, Orea gives you some sweetness, Orea gives you fruitiness. If that's what you are looking in your coffee, you will be happy with any of them. Narrow Orea, especially in my rehearsals, was giving me more sour flavor notes. Sometimes less body, not always. But what I've discovered comparing those two is that when I go for that white Orea, that sourness loses its edge, but I don't know, maybe because of the sweetness, maybe because something else, I'm able to detect all the nuances in the coffee. Not saying the narrow Orea was flat, but that V4 opened up the flavors notes a little bit more for me. Today, during this blind taste, it wasn't that obvious as in my rehearsal. Today, I actually struggled to distinguish which is which. So the question, if you already have V3 MK2, should you go for V4? If you're happy with your V3, stick with it. No point of spending extra money, especially with this attachment that I used today. You won't notice that much of the difference. If you already have V3 MK2 and you still want to go for V4, probably that white Orea would be better for you because it would open up flavor notes differently or slightly differently. If you don't have any Orea and you want to start right now, you would be choosing between V4 white or narrow. If you are going for the sharp sourness, probably the narrow one would be a better one for you. I like that white Orea because it gives me that nice complexity in my coffee. The interesting thing here is that, for example, that recipe that I used from the World Barista Champion, he actually used a narrow Orea. Maybe it worked better with the coffee that he was using, but you know, if the World's Barista Champion is using narrow Orea, maybe we should consider narrow Orea. I like that white opening here, so it's easier for me to pour the water into this one than into that one. I'm happy with the flavor notes, and also if I want to speed up the brew process here, I go for this fast attachment. That's probably my favorite attachment, and this can enhance that sourness in the coffee. What I'm trying to say here is that whichever size you choose, because this is a modular system, you can change those attachments and you can aim, you can chase for the different flavor notes. So you're not stuck with one, you can experiment with many. If you plan to only use one attachment, you spend £50 for that brewer, then that's probably too expensive. If you are an owner of Orea, any Orea, please let us know in the comments how do you like it. If you had a chance to play with that V4 wide or narrow version, please share your thoughts with us. But for today, thank you very much for watching. My name is Jack, this is my coffee show, and hopefully I will see you soon. Thank you, bye!